open D file. Black's pieces are on the first 3 ranks here, and let's be aggressive. So Anish plays the move bishop e6. Here, Gukesh plays the move knight to d5, which is a very logical idea. You do not want to trade the queens off, because now with the queens off the board, the bishops and the knights really are very, very active in this position, and also this king on h7 is simply quite safe. So we get the move knight d5. Here, Anish plays knight to b4, and this is the start of Anish finding some excellent moves in the position. Here, knight b4 is the absolute best move because you're putting maximum pressure on the knight on d5 here. You also threaten to create the kebab with rook to c2, putting maximum pressure on the second rank as well. So it's looking like Anish is getting off to a good start in this event. So after knight to b4, we get the move f takes e5 here. If white were to play knight takes knight, of course, you would lose the queen, do a Botez gambit, and you would resign the game in a very embarrassing fashion. So you get the move pawn takes pawn. And here Anish plays the move knight to g4. Now, on the weak engines, like the computer that I'm using, it actually doesn't love this move right off. But according to the supercomputer Sessa, this is the absolute best move. So Anish has used these knights, putting them on b4 and g4, where they can reroute back towards the center, and it's looking very promising. Gukesh plays rook a d1, and now Anish plays this great move, king to h8. This move is a phenomenal move, the best move in the position, a third best move in a row from Anish here, where he dodges any fossils. Now, the reason this is such a great move is, say you play a move like rook to c2, for example. You think kebab, attack the queen, all is good. But here, white can play the move knight to f6, creating the fossil, because I check your king, the pawn guards knight. If you take with the knight, you lose the queen, you lose the game. If you play queen takes knight, for example, here, white can simply take, and after rook takes queen, rook takes. Black has 2 bishops and a knight in return for 2 rooks, but white is ahead materially. So Anish goes king h8. Now we get the move king h1 being played. If white were to play the move knight takes knight, for example, here you have the move queen takes queen, rook takes, and bishop takes b4. And after the rook goes anywhere, let's say d1, there's knight e3 to fork these rooks. If you go rook e2, there's bishop c4 to skewer these rooks. If you go rook d4, there's bishop c5 as well, pinning the rook on d4, and all roads lead to a victory for black. Therefore, Gukesh decides to play the move king to h1. This is a nice move as you dodge any of the checks on this diagonal, but surprisingly, this move is actually a huge blunder, after which white is losing the game if black plays precisely. So now we get the move rook to c2. The 4th best move in a row from Anish. He's played knight b4, knight g4, king h8, and rook c2. Anish is playing like an engine. Now, this is great on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's very tricky, because when you get these tactical positions, in some cases, you're in a situation where there's one move which is winning, and if you don't play the one move that's winning, you can go from winning to being losing very, very quickly. So you get rook c2. Gukesh plays queen to f4, and now Anish plays the move knight takes knight, and here Gukesh plays the move queen f3. Now, at this point, you would think, well, what is Gukesh doing? What is queen f3? Why doesn't he just take the knight? The reason that he doesn't take the knight is that if you go for this move pawn takes knight, there is a glorious tactic which leads to a forced win for black. You play bishop takes pawn here. If white plays the move bishop takes bishop, you can take on h2 and go bishop c5, winning the game. So therefore, white will obviously play the move rook takes bishop, but now you do a Botez gambit. You sack the queen, white takes back, you take the juicer, knight guards the rook, king slides over, and now you have the crushing move bishop to c5 check. King can't go anywhere, so you have to play the move rook to f2, and now black takes the rook, the knight guards